Hey everyone, welcome back to Python Code Nemesis. In today's video, we will be looking at creating a shopping cart application with Python, Flask, and React. We'll understand how to connect a very simple Flask backend in Python with a simple front-end React. Let's say you are a completely new beginner to this field. You need to know what is the framework that will make it easy for you to host your backend application part and how can you connect it very fast to a front end. What is this front end and back end? Let's say if you're a beginner, starting on hackathons, you will have to go back and look at the video where I explain what front end and back end is. This is the next step where you create a very simple front end and back end from scratch. We don't have a database connection here. That is something that comes next. But in this, we'll have an in-memory database, which is basically a Python list. So the agenda is we'll be creating the backend with Flask and Python, front end with React, host these services locally and have them interact with each other, which is something that all of us should learn as newbies, that how front end and backend interacts and then test it. For the backend in Flask in Python, just create a file called app.py and insert the following code into it. First, you create the app. You need cross-origin resource sharing so that the front end can access it locally. This is very important. If you don't have this step, then it will throw a bunch of errors. This is our original data. In one of the next videos, we'll be replacing this with a database, let's say MongoDB. But for now, we can keep the card contents as this. Apple, banana, orange, 532. There's a function called calculate total price where we have the price of an apple is zero point 0.5, banana is zero point 0.3, and orange is 0.25. We calculate the total price by the sum of number of items multiplied by the price of that individual item. And then we return the rounded version to two decimal places. App.root slash view cart is our slash view cart URL. So let's say if we have local, if our when we run this app, let's say it is running locally on the default port that Flask uses, which is 5000. So the URL will be localhost 5000 slash viewcart. The methods allowed on this will be get. So when you hit this URL, you will get this response. This function viewcart will be executed. Total price calculates the total price and returns a JSONified version of the cart contents and the total price. That's it. Similarly, app.root slash add to cart with a method post, whereas you'll be posting some data, you'll be sending some data to this URL. Then you hit this endpoint. When you hit this endpoint with some data that you have provided, this function add to cart will be executed. What data has been posted to this URL, you can see by request.getJSON, which will give you the data that was passed in. So if you want to get the item, you can get it from data of items. So there's a dictionary, a JSON, which you can get all your information from, and then there's the quantity. So this add to cart takes in an item and a quantity that you can send, and it just adds that quantity to that given item. So if this had item as banana and quantity as 2, so this will be 3 plus 2. So now the updated cart contents will be banana 5. That's all that we're doing, and then we're calculating the new price and returning the cart contents like we returned here as well as the total price. So that's it. Here is the whole explanation of what this code does, but we've already done that. You can go through this if you want to know about it in more detail. Now that we have the backend up and running, you should definitely test it a bunch of times by passing it some data. You can also use Postman, something that we'll cover in one of our next videos. But you can also go to your browser and just for the get one, you can just put that URL and see what is the return that you're getting. You'll be able to see that JSON file on your screen when you hit that endpoint, the get one. The get one, which is this one, view cart. This will show you the contents of the cart. Now, when you're building a front end with React, it's super simple. You should have Node installed. Once you have Node installed, you have to execute this command npx create React app shopping cart UI and then enter that directory. This command takes quite some time to set up the whole project structure. This gives you like a whole existing project structure so that you don't have to go about creating different folders and subfolders. It gives all of it to you. Now you'll be installing Axios, which is a very popular library for making API requests simply. You can also do it with React code, but this just makes it simpler. Install it with npm install Axios. Now, when you go to your source folder inside your React app file folder, you'll see there's an existing app.js file and there is some code in it. Replace that code with this code. So what this code does is that it takes in a bunch of states, variables, and there's cart contents, set cart contents, which will change the cart contents as you keep updating it. Total price also is something that keeps changing, so this will keep changing it. Item to add will also keep changing, and quantity to add will also keep changing. So these are the few things that will keep changing. We have this fetch data function, which is an async function, which waits, which keeps, getting this URL. So if you go to this URL on locally, I have hosted this on this website. So you can just copy this and paste this in your browser to see what kind of response we are supposed to be getting from this view cart endpoint. But in your case, you'll be putting in HTTPS localhost 5000 slash viewcart. That will be your locally hosted URL. You get the response. You set the cart contents to the date response.data.cart contents. Set the total price as response.data.total price because this is what is returned from this viewcart endpoint. If there is an error, you can always log that error. There's another function which is handle add to cart. So whenever there is a post made to this URL, which is this one, again, in your code, it will be replaced by localhost 5000 slash add to cart. This is the item to add and quantity to add. So this is what will come in from the UI. This item to add and quantity to add, you'll be entering from the UI, and this statement will make that post request and fetch the data. So once this request is made, it executes fetch data. What is fetch data? That is this previous function that we had that every time we make an update, obviously we need to fetch the data again, right? Because some quantity was updated, some items were added. And also the price, the total price changed because some items were added. So this needs to run again and that needs to come on the UI. So this part of the code is what the UI is. We have a new division called app. Inside this, we have this heading shopping cart. Then we have the class name cart, which is a new division. So this is a new division. We have a heading cart contents, which is a heading 2. Inside that, we have a list of all the entries. So there's a map of the item and quantity, but there is each let's say line item, which is key is the item, and then it shows the quantity. With under this list, unordered list UL, you will see this heading 2, which will show you the total price. Where did this quantity item and all of this come from? It came from this. You can see. From the object of entries of cart contents, we mapped it to a tuple slash list, whatever you call it, of item and quantity. So apples 5, oranges 7, like that. Gets all of that from here. So the quantity comes in and then the item comes in. And then there's total price. There is another small division which is update. So this is the add to cart section, a different division where you have this header H2 heading, add to cart, and there is this input. There are two inputs. Of the first one is of type text, placeholder is item, value is equal to item to add, and on change, set item to add. So whenever this changes, you need to set item to add to this value that you get. Similarly, whenever there is a number one, so there's a type number that is, let's say 5 oranges, so the number that you want to add is what you enter here. Quantity is the placeholder and the value is quantity to add. Now you call the set quantity to add function immediately after this button on click is done. So whenever there's a change, you set quantity to add as this. And whenever you click on that button, handle add to cart is called. So what is handle add to cart? This one. Posts the data that you just got, item to add and quantity to add, which you set there. That gets posted to this. Then fetch data is called, which updates all of this information. And that provides all of this information to the UI. So that's it. You can leave comments if you have any questions on how the code works. But this is the basic part of it, and it's very simple. You'll have to go through this a couple of times to understand that. Now, it's gonna look pretty dull, so we need to like put in some basic styling. And for that, add this code to app.css. So here for the body, we have like a margin of 0, padding of 0. We have a font, interesting font, and a background color. For the app component, we have, so let's say what's this? Where is app? So this is division app, right? So that division has this, these fields, let's say, and this is where we change, add the background color, we add the box shadow. Similarly, for H1, we have, text align as center, margin, color, and all of these. For the button as well, we have like a bunch of specifications that we are passing in. So you just copy all of this, go to your source folder inside app.css, copy and paste, basically replace all of the code in app.css with this updated code. Before running the React application, as I had mentioned before, you have to replace this URL with your localhost URL. To start the React app, just type npm start. The React app will be running at HTTP localhost 3000, and you can interact with the shopping cart UI, which communicates with the hosted Flask app. It could be on Heroku. I recently found out about pythonanywhere.com, which lets you host very simple Flask apps. If you are having like a very complicated application, let's say you have a machine learning model inside it, obviously these sites are not going to give you that much memory space. In that case, I would definitely recommend Azure. Azure for students comes with like a 1 year free subscription. There's also a lot of integrations of Microsoft Azure for VS Code, which is one of them is Azure App Service, which lets you launch apps very easily. That's something that I use, but as a starter, this is something which works. Make sure to install these required packages inside the place that you are actually hosting it before you do it. Otherwise, you could run into errors. And that's it. You did it. You hosted your Python app. It's looking good. Also connected it to a React front end, and we have a whole function in the application, something that you should be proud of building. This is a project that you can use as some boilerplate code to build anything you want. Just add a lot of more endpoints to your Flask app, change the, React UI, but you basically have it connected. You know how the front end and back end are working. You have cores enabled on your backend so that everything is working. You can test it locally before you host it on some server. That's it. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, feel free to leave comments, likes, subscribe, share this video, and thanks again for watching. Have a great day.